targeting vigilance, yet they're still continuing on with this nonsense, so it looks like they want to get themselves killed. Another woman says she finds it pretty terrifying to hear about all these powerful people dying all the time, and a lot has been happening lately, and there are a lot of things she'd rather not talk about. At school, Blake gets scared by Ison and angrily asks what the hell is wrong with him, so Ison tells him to relax and asks if he got beaten up by the Turk Wars again, since he looks terrible, so Blake annoyingly tells him to shut up and says he's at least strong enough to make it to the roster. Ison declares that he could totally make it to Turf Wars if he wanted to, but he's just not into that kind of stuff. Blake says he believes him and reveals that Sarah went yesterday. Stunned, Ison asks if he got to see her in action, so he confirms that he did. Ison says he's really lucky since she must have wiped the other team out, so Blake is about to reveal that she actually attacked Arlo, but he suddenly catches himself and says he just remembered he's not supposed to talk about it. Ison asks if he's just going to leave him hanging like that and says he knows he can't keep it a secret, so he should just spit it out since he'll feel better after that. Blake agrees and asks him to promise he won't tell anyone, so Ison agrees. Meanwhile, John remarks that he got so carried away with the weekend that he completely forgot he has a huge history test today. As he's reading the test, he accidentally bumps into Arlo. Arlo's friend angrily asks John what he thinks he's doing. John mutters that he's cramming for the test, so the man questions if that's all he has to say after bumping into the king. John mutters that he said sorry and asks what else he wants him to do. He asks if he can go now since he has a test in 10 minutes hearing, which the guy reacts angrily. However, Arlo asks if this is really necessary and tells him to calm down and just let him already since he's making a big fuss over nothing. The guy tries to argue, but Arlo asks John if he has a test coming up soon and wishes him luck. John smilingly thanks him and continues walking. When John's gone, the guy asks Arlo why he didn't take John down when he's the guy he was looking for. He offers to go after him right now and drag him back here if he wants, but Arlo asks if he noticed anything off about John. The guy annoyingly says his hair was greasy, but he notices Arlo's stare and apologizes since he really doesn't know what he's talking about. Arlo asks him how he would react if he had no ability and just bumped into the king. The guy mutters that if he was a weakling, he thinks he'd be careful to not bump into anyone because he'd be scared of getting beat up. Arlo remarks that that's what he thought, but not only did John walk straight into him, when he turned to apologize, he didn't see the slightest hint of fear in his eyes, so he must be interesting. As Sarah is using her phone on the rooftop, she remarks that as long as she can remember, she had to be perfect. She was told she was not like the others, she was gifted and she will rise above her peers. She always told herself she must be stronger than everyone. She must be smarter than everyone and she must be perfect. But when you're consistently perfect, it's no longer an experiment. Perfect becomes an expectation and others start watching and judging. Before she knew it, she had gotten so lost in people's expectations that she stopped living for herself, but she also came to accept that this was exactly how everything was supposed to be. Just like how the strong will always stand at the top and the weak will forever stay at the bottom, her role was to be at the peak and be perfect. Then this kid showed up and asked her to help him. When the bullies got ready to beat him up, Sarah remarked that 2 guys against a cripple is a little overkill. John deflected one's attack and kicked him in the stomach before turning to face the other guy. He charges forward, throws his jacket on him and starts choking him. He orders his friend to stop the fight, but his friend rushes towards him, so John throws him in front of the guy charging forward and says he can have him back. Sarah wonders what the heck she's even watching right now before John rushes past her and says thanks for nothing. As the bullies chased after John, Sarah inwardly questioned what that guy thought he was. As Sarah was thinking about what John said to her when he ran by her, the teacher asked her to come up and get her test. The teacher sees that she's gotten another perfect score as expected and tells the rest of the class that they should follow Sarah's example, so they argue that that's not fair since she's a different level from them and everything is too easy for her. Sarah remarks that good grades and strength don't just come from nowhere. She worked hard to get where she is. She hears 2 girls gossiping that they won Turf Wars again, but that isn't much of a surprise since they have Sarah on their team and better be winning all of them, otherwise they'd be really disappointed in her. She's the smartest and the strongest, she does everything expected from her, but what does she get in return? John hears a boy telling someone that they're serving the triple choco cake today during lunch. Surprised, the guy's friend asks where he gets all this information from, so he tells him to not worry about it and to just make sure he gets to the cafe early today, which surprises John. John is relieved that he was actually able to get his hands on a chocolate cake and inwardly exclaims that he can't wait to taste it, but Sarah says she wants that cake he has and orders him to give it to her. John flatly declines and says he doesn't care if she's a queen or an ace. This cake belongs to him, so she should just back off and go get her own. Sarah orders him to not make her repeat herself. Intimidated by her aura, John slowly hands it over, but he lets it go just as she's about to grab it. The students wonder what's happening over there and exclaim that a standoff is taking place between Sarah and the cripple. Hearing the people say John outsmarted Sarah, she smashes him into the wall, inwardly declaring that he's nothing, he's far below her, and doesn't get to stand up to her. She questions if he thinks he's tough because of what he just did and asks how he dared to do that when she works so hard every single day, but he thinks he can just waltz in and humiliate her like this. She asks who the hell he is and declares that he doesn't even know what's going on as she slaps him. As she continues beating him up, she says he's weak and ignorant and doesn't even know what's going on, yet he walks around like he owns the place, like he can do whatever. She made it. She's at the top, so why does she still follow the rules? Why does she have to impress everyone? She slowly starts crying and questions why she doesn't get to do what she wants. Bro really got destroyed because of a chocolate cake. Presently, Sarah receives a message from John saying he definitely failed the history test and asking if she wants to get some lunch. As she goes down the stairs, she hears students gossiping about the fact that Sarah beat up Arlo at Turf Wars, even though she can't actually do that. They add that she's been breaking a lot of rules lately and wonder what's wrong with her since she doesn't go to class anymore and even chopped off her hair. The girls suddenly notice her coming and hurriedly stop, but Sarah just smiles and continues walking. At home, John receives a call from his dad who asks if everything's going all right over there. He says it's the same as usual and asks if something's happened, so he hurriedly says he's sure John has already heard, but there's some elite gang called Ember causing trouble around his area, so he should make sure to keep his eyes open and stay safe. John says he knows and doesn't need to tell him, but his dad says he means it and he shouldn't do anything stupid. He suddenly receives a call from his editor and tells him to take care of himself, so John agrees and tells him to make sure he eats well. In Wellston dormitories, Sarah is reading unOrdinary, but she suddenly closes it and throws it beside her, remarking that she needs some fresh air. When she walks out of her room, Elaine says her parents sent some oranges from home and they make for great orange juice, so she should try some, so Sarah agrees to have some later. Outside, Sarah remarks that a story about one man who defends a world of cripples is strange and wonders where this premise even came from. She inwardly says it's possible that John's father wrote this book in order to introduce the idea of a more just society, one with a lot less violence and a lot less danger, so that Josh can stand as everyone's equal. Somehow, many people seem to actually agree with this idea, and they've even taken matters into their own hands, declaring themselves superheroes and helping others, just like how the protagonist of unOrdinary protected cripples. She inwardly says it's no wonder that authorities banned this book because it challenges the entire structure of their current society, and the fact that even some high tiers had acted on it must have been pretty frightening for both of them. Despite everything, there is one glaring similarity between the unOrdinary world and theirs. Only the powerful are able to influence the outcome of something. They decide whether to use their abilities for others or to keep it for themselves. Elaine enters Sarah's room and puts a glass of orange juice on her desk as well as a cute note, but as she's leaving, she suddenly notices the unOrdinary book lying on her bed. When Sarah enters her room, he sees a glass of orange juice on her desk and notices that she accidentally left the book on her bed. Meanwhile, Elaine searches the book up on her laptop, and after reading up on everything, she hurriedly closes it and questions what she should do if Sarah becomes a vigilant. She hurriedly shakes her hand and picks up her phone. Arlo picks up Elaine's call and she says she thinks Sarah is in trouble since she found a book called unOrdinary in her room. She doesn't know if he's heard of it, but she did some research and it looks like bad news, so she really doesn't know what to do as she's worried about her. Arlo tells her to calm down and says all she needs to do is stay put for now. He asks if anyone else knows. When she says no one does, he smilingly tells her to keep it that way. John wearily sits down beside Sarah, who asks what happened to him. He mutters that he just found out report cards come out this Friday, so even the thought of it makes him anxious. Sarah says there really is no point in freaking out since there's nothing he can do about it now. John wearily sighs before Sarah reveals that she doesn't think she can return that book to him. He stays silent for a moment and guesses that Elaine found it. She tries to explain herself, but he annoyingly says she's always careless even though he warned her. He reminds her that she might have godly abilities, but she can't rewind all her mistakes, so she says she gets it and admits she messed up. He asks what she plans on doing now, so she says she's going to keep the book and make sure they can't trace it back to her. He thanks her for that, but asks what she's going to do, so she just shrugs. She mutters that there's no way she'd get past the lie detector, so she's going to get in trouble either way, and tells him to not worry because they'll be lenient with her. After all, she's Wellston's ace. John asks Sarah what she thought of the book, so she admits she honestly thought it was a bit absurd. John starts leaving, but she stops him and says she figured she wasn't getting the full picture, so maybe he can help her clear some things up. John sits up and explains that he really admired the hero of unOrdinary. He was the most powerful, yet he still listened to others, and through that, He realized that everyone has something valuable to offer, so he thinks the takeaway here is that even the weakest people can have some of the greatest ideas. They shouldn't be repressed if they are now. Instead, they should be